I'm your host, Eric Mitchell. How are you guys doing today? Get a good show for you today. Get a lot of questions about the vaccine coming from COVID-19. We're not told a lot about it because, the news has other things to talk about. And as we've talked about on this show quite often, the person that seems to be holding up talk of a vaccine that could help keep Americans alive is not top to this person. So I decided, since the news won't do it, and definitely the president won't do it, I figured I would do some research and present you over 2 days exactly what we're dealing with here with this vaccine. Part of what today we'll be talking down is we're going to break down the material logistics of this vaccine, how they're made, how they're distributed, and who's doing the distributing. And then in our follow-up episode, we'll focus on the human element, like who will get the vaccine and how many people even want one. I think that's important, right? So let's just discuss how the magic happens, right? The magic. Over the holiday, we all get sentimental because we're talking about this vaccine and, people have such a distorted version of this virus that they really don't know what's going on. And it's crazy, right? I mean, we're just sitting here. So let's just talk about how they've done it from, this is crazy, how fast they've done this. And we'll give it to the Trump administration. They did fast track this in a way that we've never seen it done. And it's not cheap to do vaccine development. One study I researched and found it can run up to $500 million. One research development for one of these companies, $500 million. So the methodologies kind of vary, but the overall breakdown of how they get to this process of a vaccine, if you're curious, and I was, is a 5-step process. 5. And, we're here for the next 8 to 10 minutes, so might as well share. So step 1 is they create an antigen, a substance that provokes your immune system. Scientists, they do this by literally growing it in a cell, like a human cell. And it's like the basil plant on your window, but tiny. True story. Step 2, they take the baby antigen out of the cell where it was grown. And, because that basil eventually has to become pesto at some point. Next, step number 3, the antigen is purified through, I'm reading notes here, guys, through the processes that sound like words you made up when you're lying about doing your science homework back when you were in school. And I'm going to give them a try. One of them is chromatography, and the other is ultrafiltration. Not as difficult as they looked. And step 4 is kind of optional. In some cases, some extra spices are added to strengthen the antigen, or in some cases, give it extra shelf life. You've heard about these vaccines having different parameters of shelf life. And then 5, distribution, what we're talking about over the coming days. Mix up all the components in vials and syringes, load those suckers on trucks, planes, and get them into some arms. Now, it's a little different because you don't really know where they're doing, and, it's crazy because they're kind of everywhere, right? And did you know that there is currently a shortage of sand? Crazy, found this out. A shortage of sand used to make the glass vials for the vaccine storage. That's right. And some of those, these fascinating facts, come on, this is what we're here for, right? This is why you want to tune in, is some of the ingredients come from a bark of a particular tree, a Molina tree in South Africa that's only harvested 2 months of the year. You probably didn't know that, but the folks at Pfizer sure do. That's what makes it crazy. And we've heard of Operation Warp Speed, right? Operation Warp Speed, as the government calls it, the accelerated vaccine process. I mean, it's pretty fast if you think about it. After the Manhattan Project and training dolphins to locate sea mines, Operation Warp Speed, or OWS as some people may call it, could go down in history as one of the most successful government innovations and initiatives in recent memory. So the goal of Operation Warp Speed was to deliver 300 million doses of a safe and effective vaccine by January 2021. It was created as sort of a project manager to coordinate the moving parts and get going. The budget crazy budget for this, and this is why we had all those bills fighting back and forth on Capitol Hill. $18 billion. More than $12 billion has already been doled out to vaccine-related contracts. And what we've seen all over the place is what Operation Warp Speed was trying to do is squeeze in what's typically a 73-month process into just 14 months. That's right, 73 months in the 14, do that math, and that's crazy. And that's probably why on our next episode we're going to talk about why some people are leery, including myself, on trying this vaccine, because to me it just seems kind of crazy. Now, the leadership behind it said that they believe, and this is the Trump administration and their folks, and as we just heard, one of the members of the party, Mr. Atlas, the crazy one, has stepped down and resigned his position on the task force. But this leadership says they believe they can deliver COVID-19 vaccines to every state in less than 24 hours after getting FDA approval. It's crazy, right? It's just, do you believe that? Now, here's the problem. A lot of these, we've heard that they have temperature controlling. You know, the leading vaccines we have right now are very temperature sensitive. Pfizer's one, to avoid spoiling, must be transported and stored at, get this, negative 94 degrees Fahrenheit. While Moderna's one, they prefer negative 4 degrees Fahrenheit. Maintaining these below freezing temperatures is nuts in how they're going to do it. Now remember, United Airlines and Delta and others are transporting it over there. And this is where it's going to be the biggest bottleneck is, you know, the supply chain. Given that 1 in 4 passenger airplanes, which ship a majority of the air freight, has been grounded. That's a problem. Storage is light, as UPS and Lufthansa have been scrambling to build a massive freezer farms near airports to put the vaccine in. And dry ice. You're seeing Pfizer and the airlines and UPS and FedEx all trying to find as much dry ice and dry ice boxes as they can to maintain, for Pfizer's alone, to maintain that negative 94 degrees Fahrenheit for up to 10 days. And each box that they're building can hold up to 5,000 doses. You know, here's the bottom line when it comes to this, is even with distributors and the drug companies beefing up their cold chain, pharma inspectors, they still expect, and this is crazy, and this is why we're talking about this, is still they're expecting some of the spoilage to go between 5% or 20%. That's why it's going to drag out, folks. That's why it's not immediate. So if you're looking for the vaccine and you don't know if you're qualified, which we're going to go through that on the next episode, but if you're looking for the answers to this, you're just not going to do it. So before we go, let's do some numbers as we wrap up and put a bow on this episode about the vaccine so you understand exactly what the nuts and bolts about COVID-19 and the vaccine are. So let's do this. So there's over 67 candidates currently in various stages of clinical trials all around the world. Pretty cool, right? So there's a lot of people doing it. 10 billion single doses could be available by the end of 2022. That's right, everyone's sitting there. So if all the front-runner vaccines are approved, we could have up to 10 billion, that's right, 10 billion with a B, single doses available for everybody around the world. Now, the purchase agreements is the number of individual doses, 5 is the number of individual doses that the UK has pre-bought for every citizen, 5. And that is the highest around the world. So pretty cool. UK went and bought 5 per person. I don't know what they're expecting. That's interesting. And $21. That's a different $21 a dose is Moderna's vaccine. Pfizer's is roughly about $25. I'm reading notes here. And as AstraZeneca's, theirs is $4 a dose. I don't know if we're supposed to do up the doses. I'm not a doctor, but the dose prices seem interesting. I don't know what regulates these. Sourcing. Now, this is interesting. 850 million syringes will be required for COVID-19 vaccine deliveries right here in the United States of America. So start thinking about that. We already have some interesting pharma issues. We depend heavily on China for a lot of our medical supplies. Hopefully they're being built here, so we don't want to have it. Anyways, it's mean of me to say. But that is what we have there. 850 million syringes just for here to get the vaccine out. Now, 2% of the required amount of anticipated needles and syringes in the U.S. are located. That's right. There actually is a place for this. There's a place for needles and syringes. It's in the Strategic National Stockpile, which is where our critical medical supplies, the ventilators that you've heard so much about. Now, distribution, and the most important part that we're going to be talking about, and then we're done, is 8,000 fully filled 747 planes will be needed to distribute a single vaccine dose to the world's 7.8 billion people. That's right. That's what the number they're saying. So 8,000 fully filled 747s to vaccinate every single 7.8 billion people on this planet. Whew, that's a number. And there's a lot of us. Holy crap, think about that. 7.8 billion. That's a lot of people. And that would take 15,000 total cargo flights will be required to vaccinate the entire planet. And that was according to DHL. I was amazed by these studies. So hopefully this gives you some insight, because that's really what my goal is here today, is to give you some insight onto what's going on and break down these hardcore numbers for you. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully it got in your head. If you have notes, feel free to message us and we'll share where we've got these case studies from. They're amazing. So make sure you tune in on our following episode so you can talk about phase 2 of this, where we talk about the nuts and the bolts. Now we've talked about what it would take to get it here and who's doing what and the money and the people and how many doses and all the important stuff. But in our next episode, which is going to be great, and you can click on the segment here, we're talking about the supply chain today. And next time we're going to talk about the human element. That's right. Who will get the vaccine and how many people even want one? Because there are people, I'm included in that, I don't know if I want one. It's kind of how I feel about the flu shot. Let me know your thoughts. Leave it in the comments. And as always, make sure you smash that subscribe button. That's right. Smash the subscribe button, because without viewers like you, we wouldn't be here, and I'd just be sitting in my room talking to a camera. And I know that's not why I do this. So folks, thank you so much for tuning in today. As always, on behalf of the entire team here at To The Point, I'm Eric Mitchell. Be safe, be strong, be smart, and God bless America.